All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Ignite Initiative. I have sweet, savory Steph on. Welcome, Steph.
Thank you.
Of course. Glad to have you on. And it's funny how, we first met. I don't know if you remember, but yes. I was pushing next for we did tablings everywhere. Mm-hmm. We were opening up, and I had a table downstairs from Glen Dance, where we're at in Glenhead. And then you came by just to inquire about the gym.
Yes.
And then I told my sisters, because they saw your Instagram, and they're like your biggest followers, my sisters. So it was funny. I didn't know, sorry, because I'm not in the meal prep like that. But afterwards, I told them, they were like blown away. They were so excited. So it's pretty funny. Right? It's pretty cool too.
So my girls went to that dance school, and I saw you guys had some signage up and stuff. You hadn't opened yet.
Yeah.
So I remember just like looking into it. I didn't work out at the time either. So I was
at
like,
home you did, right? A little bit?
No.
Oh, that you did at the time.
No, so I just started doing that like very recently. I was like doing home workouts and stuff, but I was like really interested in doing the whole gym thing.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, let me know when you guys open or whatever. And then finally, things all came together.
And then here we are now. So in 2019, you started your wellness journey, basically, you were saying, and your Instagram journey, right? Mm-hmm. After you had your second baby?
Yes.
All right, cool. So what motivated you to do that? And why did you start this?
Yeah, so I had my second child. I have 3 now. But after she was born, I was like finding that I couldn't really like go back to my lifestyle and like lose the weight. So I was like, I think I need to change something. Now I'm a mom of 2. Like the weight isn't really coming off as easily. So I started kind of watching what I was eating and went down that path on my wellness journey, if you will. And I started my Instagram page. So that was in 2019. My Instagram page was really just back when Instagram was just posting pictures.
Yeah,
so I would literally just take a picture of my dinner and post it. And I was gaining a lot of traction from it. People just wanting easy recipes and stuff. And I would put the recipe in the caption on my Instagram. So after a while, I started getting like collaborations and started doing the whole influencing side with my Instagram. And then one day, one of my followers was like, "Where's your recipe for chicken marsala?" And I'm like, ugh. I'm like scrolling on my feed to try to find, I'm like, there has to be a better way to do this. So that's when I got the idea to do a website.
And organize it all.
Yes. So I was like, let me put all my recipes in one spot. The website, that was the best thing I ever did, because now they just log onto the website and they
go there.
Everything.
It's easy for the customers. Now, when you first started the Instagram, did you have a goal? Like, what did you, that's usually how it starts.
At the time, that whole community of like the calorie counting WW world was really big and like supportive. So I kind of did it for fun as a hobby. I always loved cooking. So I was
just like helping other people, right?
Yeah. And so I was making the stuff that I always used to cook, but like lightening it up a little bit. And I found that people were actually really intrigued by it, and they don't have that like natural, like, I guess, knowledge of food to be able to do that on their own. So they're actually looking to me for advice. So I was like, this is kind of cool. So then I just kind of ran with it.
And just like mixing and matching and making it fun for them, but healthy at the same time, right? When did you start putting like the macros on because I think that's the best thing you do, right? Because it's just easy for people to see it. Like now people that count macros can relate. When did you start that right away, or you?
So in the beginning, I was strictly WW, because that's the plan I was following at the time. Okay. Once I started gaining more of a following on Instagram, I started also putting calories in the captions, but not macros, because I didn't know enough about macros.
Yes.
So I would calculate the calories for my recipes. When I launched my website, the actual recipe builder I use in the website, like where the recipe cards are, they actually calculate the macros automatically.
Awesome.
Once you put the ingredients in. So it was kind of like a no-brainer, and it opens the doors to so many more, clients and customers. Yeah,
because people that are living that lifestyle want to count it all the time. Like it can get very boring very quick, right? So that makes a lot of sense. When did you first start like noticing your page was growing and you're like, this could be a thing? Like, when was did you have like one moment, or it just kind of happened over time?
There was a few times. I remember like when the actual WW account shared my page. And so I got a bunch
shared your account.
Like just one of my,
you knowing?
Correct.
Wow.
Or they would like DM me and be like, "Hey, are you okay if we like share this post?" And I'm like, obviously.
Yeah.
So once I hit like 10,000 followers, back then on Instagram, if you didn't have 10,000 followers, you couldn't add links or anything to your stories. You had to have 10,000.
Okay.
So once I hit 10,000, I was like, oh my God, I can actually like link things and start like the influencing side. Yeah. Okay. So that was like a big thing for me. And I also at the time was like a WW ambassador. So they would like hook us up with different promotions and stuff. And that would also get me followers. But then it started just kind of growing more and more organically. Like if I did a reel, once reels came out, you do one that goes viral and you get
a lot of stuff
traction.
happens.
Yeah.
Now, people think that so influencers, they just post stuff and it's nice and easy and people like it. So explain to, and tell us about like the work that goes behind these, because it's not as easy as people think. I know it's not.
Right.
So, how, it's hard work. It is. So like, how do you plan your posts and things like that? How do you start it all?
So I really think when Instagram turned to more of a reel focus, it changed things a lot. I was actually really resistant to it. I kept just posting pictures, and a friend was like, listen, like, it doesn't help you if you're resistant to change. Like you can't just sit and be mad about it. You need to just adapt and figure it out.
And it keeps on changing, right?
It keeps changing. And like now people are doing more static posts again. Like it's back and forth.
Yeah.
So it's all about adapting. But as far as the filming and stuff, like I feel like some people do batch film things. I try to just be more organic with it. And like, all right, if I'm doing something I think people might enjoy seeing, I whip out the tripod and I film it.
Got it.
And then like late at night, I'll edit it and put it all together. But yeah, it's a little bit of a process. I enjoy it. It's just, like, I know there's a lot of influencers, they'll film everything that they're doing. And I'm like, I just can't get into it. I think some things are good left to the imagination.
Just the set stuff. That's it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that would be a lot of work too. That'd be way too much. All right, cool. So then in 2020, you created the website. And what was your goal behind the website, and what did you want to accomplish there?
My main goal behind the website was having a place just to house all my recipes so that people could easily find them, search, like use a search bar, find the recipe they're looking for instead of scrolling through an Instagram feed. The other thing is when you have a website, you own it, and like that's your property. So it's kind of, you don't know what's going to happen with social media.
It's
so
true.
like
Instagram
could go around. Yeah, it could go away tomorrow, or your account can be deactivated and it's like, where's all my content? So I like having it have a standalone place on the website. So I did that. I was telling you before that basically the website that I first launched was on the wrong platform. So it was more of I didn't know where to begin because I'm not a website person.
It's confusing. The whole world is confusing.
Right. So I hired someone. I basically posted something on my Instagram stories like, does anyone know a web designer? And he reached out and we worked together and it was great. He made a beautiful website. I didn't realize that it was more of a website for like a storefront, like basically like a brick and mortar store, just to have a website. So it wasn't built for food bloggers. So there wasn't a place to put recipes per se. We had to like do an add-on for it. And because of all that, Google was never going to pick up the recipes.
Got it.
Which is when you're a food blogger, you're looking for Google, like you want to be the number one Google search when someone says air fried chicken cutlets. You want your recipe to be able to
You
pop
want to be
up.
ranked. Yeah, you want to be up there in their face.
So that wasn't going to ever happen if I stayed on that platform. So I was there for a couple of months and then I reached out to another company once I realized that I was in the wrong place, and they agreed to migrate my website over to WordPress, which is where I am now. Which is the preferred one for food bloggers. So there was a little bit of like a learning curve there, but now we're where we need to be.
No, that's awesome. And I'm sure now that you had like the website added on, go back to 2020, 2022, it creates even more work for you, right? I mean, even if you have people helping you out, you still have to check everything.
Oh yeah.
So like, what is your everyday like? What do you do? Like you're shooting stuff, you're posting stuff, like website fixes, sending it to your team. What are you doing exactly?
So as far as the website itself, so I do all of the recipe creation. I take all the photos on my iPhone. Which I don't use a professional camera, but
the iPhone's just as good now anyways, right? So
portrait mode, So I do all the photos, I do all the videos and stuff. Once I have a recipe that I tested that's successful, I like kind of jot down on pen and paper as I'm doing it, what the ingredients are and stuff. And then I plug it into my website in the recipe builder, and I do all the work myself on that end.
Okay.
I do have a great person who I use that actually is like really knowledgeable in WordPress, and she'll be like, hey, I think that we can improve this on your website. It'll make it faster.
So technical stuff you get help for.
Yeah, because it's really not my forte, but I know enough that I can go in there and post my recipes and that stuff.
Got it.
But she's great.
Still a lot of work.
It is.
It's a lot of work.
So, but she's great at linking. My Instagram is linked to my website, like all that back end stuff. She's great with it.
Awesome. And now, it brings you to launching Green 3.
Yes.
So I would love to talk a little bit about that. How did that come about, number one? How did that first start?
So I was going to a holistic doctor, not last summer, the year before. And she suggested that I start using greens. And I was like, all right, she thought it would be beneficial for me. So I started searching for a greens powder that would work for me. And they all had stevia, monk fruit, like sugar replacements. And I do not like the flavor of any of them. I feel like they have an aftertaste. Some of them give me headaches. So I was like, why can't I find one that doesn't have one? I found one that has no sugar in it whatsoever. And it literally tasted like potting soil.
Yeah, it's
I
terrible.
was like,
no. If you
so
can't do it every day, then it's not good.
No, I used to put like squeeze lemon in it, like chug it down. It was horrible. So then I was like, maybe there's a place in the market for greens that do not have sugar replacements and they have a little bit of sugar and, you know, are good and palatable to people like me. So we started the process of formulating Green 3. So it's sweetened with natural fruit powders and a touch of coconut sugar. Not too much because we don't want like a ton of added sugar on the nutrition
panel. But it's
panel.
all natural stuff. It's not fake additives, which is a lot better.
And it's got all the things that I wanted in a greens powder, and it actually tastes good. So it's like has no aftertaste. People are really receptive to it. They're really loving it so far. They're surprised by the taste. So it's been cool.
So that's your angle in it, basically. It's like, it's real. It doesn't taste like shit,
no.
basically, right? It tastes good. Like that's your angle on it. And that's awesome. Now, getting into a product. So like starts from Instagram posting stuff. Now you have a product. So you have to like get it, you know, actually packaged, all that stuff made, formula, all that. How is that process? Because obviously that's just, you know, that's amazing. It's just a brand new avenue for you.
It's been a learning curve with us too. It's been really cool and really eye-opening. I have a lot of respect for people that launch products and ship things out and stuff. It's like a world I didn't know anything about. But it's going really well, and we're able to manage the volume right now, which is great. Like I'm not overwhelmed by it, but it's been really well received by all of my followers, and I'm getting a bunch of 5-star reviews on the website, and it's been awesome. But yeah, it's like my baby. So I'm like, I made that label, and now it's on thousands of.
No, it's really cool, and you should be super proud. And,
thank you.
Steph, this website, what is this website? So everybody knows. What is this website called?
green3superfood.com.
Okay, awesome. And now building that website, all the work that goes into that, the strategy, how is that now? Like managing all of this at once, because it's a lot. You have the regular website, you have Instagram, then you have this. So how do you manage your time with everything?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the greens work goes on at the end of the day when the kids are in bed. It's like we kind of like sit down and look at our orders and kind of analyze everything there. And like I said, so far it's really been manageable and actually a lot of fun too. I think that's the important thing is like I'm excited by it.
It's good. You have to like it.
Yeah.
You have to. Every day you're excited for it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a chore or anything like that. I actually look forward to that point of our night where we're like, all right, let's see what's going on with the greens. And then as for the food blog, I mean, I'd still love cooking and experimenting. It's been hard to balance like testing new recipes with also feeding my family, because if a recipe test doesn't go well, I'm like, all right, got to figure out a plan for dinner. But yeah, I do try to still carve the time out for that because I know my followers are really looking forward to new recipes and keeping things exciting. I think at this point we're at 400 plus recipes on the website.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have like a goal of like how many per month you want to add or stuff like that? Or
I used to be
kind of goes.
Yeah, I like to do like a handful a month. There have been slower months and stuff. I also have like a few on the back burner that like I have a notes section in my phone that I'm like, whenever I get an idea for a recipe, I keep tabs of it.
Okay.
And then when I find the time, I kind of crank them out.
Nice.
Yeah. And most of them are savory recipes. I just find them easier for me.
Now, are your kids picky eaters? I'm curious. Or they're not because of all this?
Well, my son,
or some of them are different because I would imagine they're not as much as a normal kid.
My son is great. He eats like an adult. So he loves the finer things in life too. He loves oysters and lobster.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, he's too much. The girls are still like chicken fingers, pasta with butter, that whole thing. They've gotten a little better. I started putting vegetables on their plate, even if they don't eat them, but just so they're exposed to them. And then before you know it,
everything you're doing is a good influence.
Right. On them. And then they start eating them. Once they see them enough times, they're like, all right. So my one daughter is good. She loves like edamame and string beans and all that stuff, but it's a work in progress.
All right, cool. So what is like the biggest like lessons you've learned so far through all of this in the business world?
I think it's important as far like really specifically to food blogging. I think it's really important to have your own website and your own identity when it comes to that, just to protect yourself. Like I said, with Instagram, you don't know where it could be tomorrow. Everything's always changing. TikTok, all that stuff. Like, I think it's really important to have your own identity, protect yourself in terms of that, and also stay true to who you are, because there's so many people that kind of just will sling any product.
Asking you to sell other stuff.
Yeah. And if you're not picky about it, then people lose their faith in you. Yeah. And they're like, this girl.
And your value goes down.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That's got to be hard, though, to say no to some stuff, though, of course, right?
Oh, no. Yeah. But like, I know right away, especially like how picky I am with the ingredients. If I see something come across that has monk fruit, I'm like, no, I know I'm not going to like it. I'm not even going to attempt. Yeah. And that's been my kind of motto since day one. So I'm not going to steer, away from it at this point.
You can only push things you like.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying with Next 4 in the beginning, because you're, an ambassador of Next 4 too, right? I was like, just try it first and see if you like it first, and then we'll talk. And like, you loved it. And then, that's the only way you can do business, in my opinion, at least. What advice do you have for other people trying to get into the social media world and make it a full-fledged business, if any? I know it's day to day, but like, what advice did you have?
I feel like it's become so saturated now. Like, I just feel like everyone, their full-time job is a creator. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't really identify myself as an influencer. I'd rather go for a food blogger, and then I happen to have an Instagram page, And
you didn't start it with this in mind.
Correct.
You started it just because you like doing it.
Right.
I think that's important. But what if somebody, there is people that like are trying to make it in this.
Yeah.
So like, what is your...
So I think you have to have like a niche. I think you need to identify as something, because you need to have a reason of why people are going to your page over someone else's. There's people that I follow that I really like their fashion, but it's affordable Amazon fashion. I know I can go there for that content. So I think when you do like a bit of everything, it could be hard to keep your audience engaged. I think that if you offer a specific product or solution to something, then people will...
Yeah, that's true.
Engaged.
If you're for everybody, you're really for nobody.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
So now, future plans for Sweet Savory stuff, for the brand or for the greens. Like, what are you thinking future wise, or just day by day?
We're taking it day by day for sure. Sweet Savory and stuff. I'd like to do more. Like, as far as the content goes, more collections, like, cozy comfort food month, and then keep posting recipes, geared towards that. But as far as Sweet Savory and stuff, I'm still just going to keep cranking out recipes that people can feel comfortable cooking and enjoy eating when they're on their wellness journey, and not feel like they need to eat boiled, chicken and broccoli.
That is the truth, though. Like, that's what I did when I first, like, went on my journey. That's all I had. So that's the truth. But the other part that I feel is tough is like, okay, all these recipes are great, and showing them how to do it is great, but some people still don't want to do it.
I know.
Would you ever consider potentially meal prepping, or no?
People
like
have
no. Not like yourself, obviously.
No. But people have asked me that, and I'm like, I don't think I want to go down that road. I think it'll suck the life out of...
Even if somebody wanted to partner with you and you didn't do anything.
I don't think so. I think there's so many meal prep companies out there now.
There is.
Which is great, and they're all excellent. They do it really well. And I feel like those weren't a thing even a couple of years ago. Like, I feel like they've gotten very popular.
The first guy was Healthy Meals Direct.
Right.
Mike, I talk with him every now and then. He might come on here, actually. But he, they just grew like crazy. I think they have like over like... They have one in Glen Cove now, right?
Yes, they do.
I think they have over like 15 locations, I think, now. But he was like the pioneer. I think he did in like 2010 he started.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, there's a lot more now.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
So I don't think I would dabble in that.
Okay.
But I think my approach is always going to be like, you don't need to like reinvent the wheel. You can do things that are super simple and take 10 minutes and
just
still...
doing good.
Yeah, like my freezer egg sandwiches, like that literally takes 10 minutes. Anyone can do it. You don't have to be a cook to do it, So
the people message you a lot, asking you like, your advice on like when to meal prep and stuff like that, and how it happens?
Yeah.
How do you deal with all that? 'Cause I'm sure it's a lot too. Just getting back to people.
Yeah. I mean, I try to be as responsive as I can. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there just looking for guidance and like, what apps you use to track your macros and where do you begin? And I don't know where to begin. And that's why it's all about, I think, starting small. I always say like, don't jump 2 feet in. Like, you've never done this before. Start easy, prep yourself. Like, just prep some egg sandwiches for the week. Don't worry about lunch. Lunch you could still get out. Like, start with the egg sandwiches. Next week, maybe try and add something else, or like just start with drinking your water all day and see how that goes. You can't just like commit to the gym, commit to a deficit when you've never done it before.
Can't do it all at once.
No,
just a little bit at a time. Where do you see your businesses, everything going in the next 5 years? What do you see in 5 years? Do you see?
I don't even day see 5 days from now.
I know. But in a perfect world, what would you want to happen?
I hope the greens take off, and that people continue loving them. In the back of my mind, I would love to, if people are responsive to it, do something like a protein powder with the same focus, like coconut sugar and no artificial sweeteners. I would love to dabble in that, because again, these are all things I've searched for for on my own on Amazon and
it.
whatever. And it's like, they're really hard to find. Most of them, you know, have the stuff I don't like. So I would love to explore other supplements and whatnot.
And they always say like you have one product, like you got to have like 2 more to tag along eventually, right?
Right.
So like that would be a great supplement to it. I think that would be awesome. If you like had any advice for somebody that was younger right now that wants to get into maybe creating their own green like that, what would you give them? Like, what would you tell them? Because you went through this a little bit. You're still new to it, but what would you tell them? Like, start from ground zero. Somebody that's listening right now that wants to get into this.
So I think, again, similar to the whole Instagram thing, I think you need to position yourself in a way that, like, what do you have to offer that these other companies don't? There's a lot of big green companies out there. So how are you different? Do you really want to try to compete with them? You know, like, what's your angle here? But also, again, stay true to who you are. Like, when I was developing this, there were, you know, at the lab, they were like, you could put a little stevia in it. Like, you need stevia. And I'm
trying
like,
to push
no.
you for it. Of course.
They had my best interest at heart. They weren't sure if people were going to like it without the stevia. They're like, you know, it needs sweetness. And I'm like, I really just don't want to do that.
I hate that taste too.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's
right.
disgusting.
And the more we talk about it, the more we realize, wow, there's a lot of people that don't like it either. I thought maybe I was one of the only people, but yeah.
Yeah. And then it sounds like to me, honestly, like what you're really just doing, like you really following your passion of helping people. That's really what it is. Right. And that just, it all stems back to that. This is awesome, Steph. So if anybody wants to find the greens or your Instagram, just let everybody know. Where can they find you?
So sweetsavoryandsteph.com has the healthy recipes, and green3superfood.com for the greens.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.